After being no contact with my sister, my mom pressured me to attend her birthday, so I bought an expensive gift and went, but she insulted me when I got there by saying I am a community college garbage in front of her Ivy League friends, but she was stunned when they wanted me to sign their books, and now she wants to be sisters again because I'm successful. I'm a 24-year-old woman, and I haven't spoken to my oldest sister, who's 26, for 3 years. Growing up, we were inseparable. She was my best friend, my role model. But everything shifted when we went to college. She got into a top university, while I didn't make it into any prestigious schools. It was devastating, and I ended up enrolling in community college to figure out my next steps. That's when everything started to change between us. As my sister adjusted to life at a prestigious university, she began to act differently. It wasn't immediate, but soon it was clear she felt embarrassed by me. At first, I tried to brush it off, thinking she just needed time to adjust to her new environment and new friends. But things kept getting worse. Anytime I brought up school, she'd give me this fake, condescending smile. She'd make subtle digs about how I shouldn't settle for community college and suggest I aim higher. It stung, but I tried to let it go. Over time, she acted like I wasn't good enough for her. At family gatherings, she barely spoke to me, and when she did, it felt like she was doing me a favor. I'll never forget when she introduced me to one of her friends as just a relative. She seemed genuinely ashamed to admit we were sisters. I tried to address how her behavior hurt me, but every time I brought it up, she dismissed me or say I was too sensitive. This went on for a while, but the breaking point came 3 years ago at a party she invited me to after graduating. Looking back, I think she invited me out of pity. The party was filled with her Ivy League friends, and I felt out of place the entire time. I tried to fit in, but I was clearly an outsider. Feeling anxious, I had a few drinks and got tipsy. During a game, I accidentally spilled a drink on one of her friends, who then screamed about her $7,000 outfit being ruined. Horrified, I kept apologizing, but my sister completely snapped in front of everyone. She called me pathetic and said she regretted being my sister. Her words were cruel, and I'll never forget how humiliated she made me feel. I know I was wrong to drink so much, but I only did it because I was so nervous. Still, her reaction felt way out of line. After that night, she cut me off entirely, deleted my number, blocked me on social media, and refused to speak to me. I tried reaching out multiple times, but she ignored me. She even told my mom she didn't want to hear from me again. She wanted me gone from her life. My mom has always tried to mediate, urging me to reconcile with my sister. For 3 years, she begged me to attend family events or my sister's birthday parties, but I respected my sister's wishes and stayed away. It hurt because I missed my family, but I didn't want to cause more tension. If it were up to me, I'd have talked to my sister years ago, but she made it clear she didn't want me around. This year, my mom was more persistent than ever, insisting my sister had mellowed out and things could be different. My mom was so emotional about it, and honestly, I missed my family too. Hoping for a fresh start, I decided to go. I brought an expensive designer bag as a peace offering, a $2,000 gift I could now afford because I'd built a successful career as a writer. After years of hard work, I'd self-published a book that was doing well. I thought this gift might show my sister I wasn't the person she looked down on anymore. When I arrived at the party, it was clear nothing had changed. The moment my sister saw me, she looked disgusted. Within minutes, she loudly asked, "Who invited her?" Everyone heard, and it stung, but I tried to stay calm. I reminded myself I was there to make peace. Then she walked over and announced, "Community college trash like you could never fit in here." I was humiliated. All the confidence I'd built crumbled in that moment. Fighting back tears, I decided to leave, but I waited a minute to avoid drawing attention. As I was leaving, one of her friends approached me and said she recognized me from my book. She even had a copy and asked me to sign it. I was shocked. My book had gained popularity, but I never expected anyone at my sister's party to know about it. I signed her copy, and suddenly, the mood shifted. My sister's attitude did a complete 180. She went from ignoring me to bragging about me to her friends, calling me the genius behind that book. Her change in behavior felt so fake, like she only cared now because someone else valued my success. I played along to avoid more drama, but inside, I felt betrayed. I stayed a little longer before leaving because the whole situation was too uncomfortable. Since then, my sister has been bombarding me with calls and texts, saying she's proud of me and wants to reconnect. It's been a week, and I haven't responded. I talked to a friend about it, and she said I was rude for not giving my sister a second chance. I miss having a relationship with her, but it's hard to forget how she treated me when she thought I was a nobody. Now that I'm successful, she suddenly wants me back in her life. It feels wrong, and I don't know what to do. Update 1. Thank you all for your responses and advice. I've read through every comment, and you've given me a lot to think about. Since my original post, a lot has happened, and I wanted to share an update. First off, some of you had questions about why I decided to go no contact with my sister. It wasn't an easy decision, and it wasn't made lightly. After that party incident where she called me pathetic in front of her friends, I spent years trying to reach out. I texted, called, and even asked my mom to help mediate between us. But my sister made it clear she wasn't interested. She blocked me everywhere, refused to speak to me, and wouldn't attend any event if I was there, essentially forcing our family to choose between us. Eventually, I stopped going to family events so everyone else could still gather and enjoy themselves. Of course, I still saw my family at other times, but I didn't attend any barbecues or birthdays for 3 years. At some point, I stopped trying to reach out to her because I was tired of feeling humiliated. Why keep chasing someone who clearly doesn't want you around? That's how no contact happened, not because I didn't care, but because I couldn't keep hurting myself trying. A lot of you also asked why I went to her birthday party after being no contact for so long. Honestly, I was hesitant. My mom had been urging me for years, saying my sister might come around if I just showed up. I stayed away out of respect for the boundaries my sister set, but this year my mom was so insistent. She said my sister had really changed. Part of me wanted to believe her. I missed having a relationship with my sister and hoped things might be different. Spoiler, they weren't. Many of you also asked about the party where I spilled a drink on her friend. To clarify, that's really all there was to it. I was incredibly nervous because my sister had spent years hyping up her friends while putting me down. Her friends were from wealthy, influential families, while we came from a middle-class background. I shouldn't have drunk so much, but I was 21 and anxious. I thought it might help me relax. I never meant to ruin the party or embarrass her. I felt awful about what happened and apologized repeatedly. Some of you said her reaction was over the top, and while I agree, I think that's just her personality. She's always been dramatic. After her recent birthday party, I didn't respond to her texts right away. I needed time to process everything. She had treated me like garbage for years, and now suddenly wanted to be close because one of her friends admired my book? It didn't sit right with me. Eventually, I sent her a text thanking her for being nicer at the party, but I also told her I wasn't ready to jump back into a sisterly relationship just because she no longer saw me as a loser. I explained that I needed time to think and didn't want to rebuild a relationship based on my success. Apparently, she didn't take that well. She called our mom, complaining that I was ignoring her and being difficult. Then my mom called me, saying my sister was heartbroken and really wanted to make amends. I explained that I wasn't trying to ignore her, I was trying to protect myself. I told my mom I was glad my sister seemed interested in repairing our relationship, but I couldn't ignore how she treated me in the past. My mom gave me the usual talk about how family is important and how this was the perfect opportunity to mend things. I kind of snapped. I asked her where this energy was when my sister was calling me community college trash and ignoring me. I said that if she'd put half as much effort into urging my sister to let go of her grudge as she did pushing me to attend events, things might not have gotten so bad. My mom went quiet and hung up pretty quickly after that. A few days later, my sister showed up at my apartment unannounced. I hadn't even told her where I lived, so I assumed my mom gave her my address. She brought old photos of us as kids and talked about how much she missed me. At first, it seemed genuine, but as we talked, things got weird. She kept mentioning how successful I was now and asked a lot of questions about my income and future projects. She even suggested we start a family business together, with me handling the creative side and her doing the marketing. It became obvious she was more interested in what I could do for her now that I was successful than genuinely reconnecting. I felt uncomfortable and made an excuse about needing to work, which got her to leave. Since then, I haven't heard from her directly, but my mom has been calling nonstop, urging me to give her another chance. I miss the sister I grew up with, but the person she's become seems more interested in what I can offer than repairing our bond. After everything, I don't know if I want to go down that road. Update 2. It's been about 2 weeks since my last post, and my sister has taken things to a new level. A week after her surprise visit, I started getting messages from mutual acquaintances and some of her friends. These were people I hadn't spoken to in years, suddenly congratulating me on a business my sister and I were supposedly starting. They were excited about our creative and trendy lifestyle brand inspired by my book. Some even asked about pre-orders and investment opportunities. I was completely blindsided. I hadn't agreed to anything, let alone discuss starting a business with her. When I asked a few people where they got this idea, I found out my sister had been telling everyone about our supposed plans. She claimed I'd handle the creative side while she'd manage marketing and sales. I was stunned. Who announces something like this without even having a conversation? I decided to confront her via text since I wasn't ready to see her face to face. I asked what she was doing and told her it wasn't okay to spread lies about us starting a business. Instead of apologizing, she brushed me off, saying she was building excitement and that I was overreacting. She insisted this was a great opportunity for both of us and kept talking about how much money we could make. Her response made me feel, for a second, like I was being unreasonable. But then I realized this was just another way for her to manipulate the situation to her advantage. She didn't seem to care about how upset I was or how she'd crossed a major boundary. Instead, she kept talking about the potential success of this business and insisted that I was being difficult for not seeing the bigger picture. At that point, I was completely done. I told her I wasn't interested and that she needed to stop. I thought being clear about how uncomfortable I felt would make her back off, but instead, she guilt-tripped me. She said I was clinging to the past and being selfish for refusing to rebuild our relationship through such an amazing opportunity. She accused me of being petty and bitter, claiming I was too stuck on old issues to recognize how much she had changed. I genuinely couldn't understand how she could say all of that without realizing how ridiculous she sounded. Those old issues were her ignoring me and treating me like trash because I didn't match her achievements. Regardless, I wasn't going to let her guilt me into something I didn't want to do. I told her I needed space and asked her, very clearly, to stop contacting me. I thought that would be the end of it, but of course, it wasn't. The next day, she sent me a flood of emotional texts accusing me of throwing away a chance to repair our relationship. She even dragged my mom into it again, saying I was breaking her heart by refusing to let go of grudges and give our relationship a fresh start. By then, I was exhausted, mentally and emotionally. I tried to be polite and patient, but my sister refused to respect my boundaries. It was obvious she only wanted to rebuild our relationship because she saw an opportunity to benefit herself. If she had actually acknowledged the years of hurt she caused me and tried to make real amends, I might have helped her. But instead, she dismissed what happened and made me feel like I was the only one at fault. I couldn't keep listening to her blame and shame me, so I blocked her. It wasn't an easy decision, and part of me felt guilty, but I knew I needed to protect my peace. I've worked so hard to get to a good place in life, and I wasn't about to let her drag me back into chaos. And that was it, for a little while. If something else bizarre happens, I'll update you all, but I'm hoping this is the end. Update 3. I thought I was done with this whole mess, but of course, things escalated again. 2 weeks after I blocked my sister, I got a call from my mom. She sounded upset and told me my sister had shown up at her house in tears, claiming I was ruining her life. Apparently, my sister had been telling everyone about our supposed business venture and hyped it up so much that people started asking questions. Now, she had no answers to give because, of course, there was no business. My mom begged me to unblock her and talk to her, saying she was going through a tough time and needed my support. For a split second, I felt bad. But then I remembered all the manipulation she'd pulled, and I wasn't about to let her guilt me again. I told my mom as much and hung up. Then, I learned from a mutual friend that my sister's situation was even worse than I thought. She didn't just hype up this imaginary business, she took money from people. Friends, relatives, even acquaintances had offered her investment funds for the project, and she accepted it. But instead of using it to set up anything legitimate, she spent it on maintaining her expensive lifestyle, designer clothes, fancy dinners, and weekend trips. Now, with no business to show for the money, people were angry. She started blaming me, saying the project fell apart because I backed out. My friend also told me my sister had been struggling financially for a while. After graduating, she didn't land the dream job she expected and has been bouncing between gigs. But on social media, she kept up the illusion of a lavish, successful life. It turns out she's drowning in debt, just trying to maintain appearances. That's why she was so desperate to involve me, she saw me as her way out. Her attempts to reconnect had nothing to do with missing me or wanting to make amends. She wanted me to bail her out, and when I didn't, she panicked. When my mom called me again, because of course, she did, she kept insisting it was my responsibility to help my sister. She said my sister was in a bad place and needed family support. I'd had enough. I told her straight up that I wasn't going to let myself be used, no matter how much guilt she or my sister tried to throw my way. I reminded her how my sister had been a bully, tearing down my self-esteem for years just to feel better about herself. Now, after everything, I asked my mom if she really expected me to fix my sister's mess. I made it clear there was no way I was going to let that happen. I even told her that if she was so concerned, she could help my sister herself. My mom kept pushing, but I think she realized I wasn't going to budge when I told her that if she didn't stop trying to guilt me, I'd block her too. That seemed to get through to her. She wasn't happy, but she backed off, for now. I haven't heard from my sister since I blocked her, and honestly, I feel relieved. I do feel bad that things turned out this way, but I know I made the right decision. It's not my job to fix her mistakes, especially when she's tried to manipulate and drag me down at every turn. This whole ordeal has taught me that being family doesn't mean you owe someone your time, energy, or forgiveness, especially when they've done nothing to earn it. Thanks again for all the support and advice from the previous updates. It's helped me stay grounded and confident in my decisions. I'm hoping this is the end of it, but knowing my family, who knows what might happen next.